would have gotten into therapy sooner. Hands down, above anything else I've ever done, what helped my business the most was fixing my shit. I was a codependent fucking asshole or insecure asshole for the most part for a long time. I got into therapy and started like I need to fix me. In the process of doing that, I started understanding other people more, and I got a much higher level. And the number one, the best money I've ever spent was on therapy. Now I had to go through a lot of shitty therapists first, but my therapist would give me homework. He was hard on me, and I think that is at the highest leverage you have, because the majority of mistakes made in businesses have nothing to do with the market.
Welcome back to the High Ticket Systems podcast. Everyone, please welcome the one and only Mr. Nate Wright. Nate, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on. I know when you and I first spoke, you have worked with some pretty big names in the high ticket industry, or even in marketing in general. So can you please tell me and even the people listening kind of what you do at a very high level?
I support B2B sales teams. So via combo of digital and non-digital marketing and sales. I would say that on the spectrum, closer to the sales team than I am to the marketing team.
Why do you feel like that is? Why would you categorize yourself there opposed to traditional marketing?
Well, in the B2B space, marketing without sales is kind of dumb. Yeah, it's like, oh, you need to be spending X amount on your marketing spend. Like, really? Whoever told you that? Like, some of the most successful people and companies I've ever worked with didn't have great marketing, but what they did use was all there to weaponize the sales team. It was always more ammunition. It was less about marketing for the sake of marketing. Now, over the years, I have come to value brand awareness a lot higher, but again, just to support sales. So being more targeted and deliberate about where the awareness needs to peak.
If I were to mention the name Jeremy Haynes, would that name mean anything to you?
It's vaguely familiar, but gun to the head, I can't tell you who it is.
That's okay.
Yeah.
He has taken over internet marketing. I wouldn't say taken over, but grown very rapidly in the internet marketing space. And what he describes for marketing is exactly your philosophy as well. He cannot separate. He literally feels guilty separating sales and marketing. It's like, which one's more important, sales or marketing? It's like, I can't, dude. I can't. It's like they're both fucking right there. You cannot have one without the other, you know? And he says really good marketing, and I completely agree with this, really good marketing can make up for a shitty sales team. It's obviously great to have both, but if your sales team can't communicate effectively, can't maintain posture in the close, whatever the case is, but your marketing does all the selling for you on the front end, makes a sales team.
So I would totally disagree with that, actually. Yeah, no. So yes, good marketing could heal some wounds. It can. It can. Self-sealing, like the stuff you put in your tires, it's like foam. Then you pop your tire again. Especially, I used to put it in bike tires when I was growing up, and it would heal. But like over time, it creates other problems. I think that good marketing that actually builds an established brand, a business that people recognize, that has name recognition, like in the software space, like the Apollos of the world. Everyone knows what Apollo is, right? When you get to that point, I think the work the marketing did to get at that space on the shelf absolutely could overcome crappy sales. But I don't think that advice applies to people that are trying to work their way up to that top shelf. I mean, brutally, I have lost my position as like a middle or top shelf brand because I let my marketing slide over the years. So I still have a great stable of clients and doing great work, but I've found I've had to actually sell harder to overcome losing that spot. It's not a ranking thing, but I think it's more of a I think especially in arenas that are commoditized, like, well, I mentioned Apollo, so data, cold email. In a high ticket space, I would look at CRMs. It's highly commoditized. It's not. That's kind of the cool thing about high ticket, is that you could actually get away with uh, doing like value based pricing a lot easier than you can with something that's become commoditized. And I would say that cold email systems building has become commoditized, but the writing of cold emails is not. But I think it's around the corner. I think we're close.
Yes. Well, two things. One is, well, that was kind of my point when you said when your marketing kind of took I don't know, what's on the back burner, you had to sell hard. And I was like, yeah, like that's why marketing can outbeat sales sometimes, right?
Yeah, no, I think the reason I think that it's dangerous advice. And this is something I've been kind of, since we last talked, I've been kind of obsessing about this idea of dangerous advice. Timing is so important. And oftentimes you'll see companies blow, especially after a round of funding, they'll blow a lot of money to get that awareness and to get the word out, to become thought leaders if it's something more executive, or get their brand press. So they're putting like real dollars behind this. But when they're on the way up there, the sales team, I would say, is even more needed. That ability to sell is even more necessary. Also, what I find happening is that the salespeople in the trenches, if there's not a really, really good feedback loop to let the marketing team course correct, it can become very, very dangerous. That's why I love the role of a chief growth officer. I am so happy that that's like become an established thing now, because that's basically what I've been doing with my own company and most of my clients for years. I just didn't have a name before.
On that topic of feedback loop, yes, 1,000,000% yes. If your sales team can properly submit end of day reports about what's happening on the sales calls, what objections are you getting, how are they coming through framed, are they cold as ice, or do they watch a couple of videos, read a couple emails, and come through better framed? If you can have your sales team articulate this every single night, like you said, and correlate that to the freaking marketing team, now you can create better marketing. So these prospects are coming through so much better frame. You can answer objections before they come up. It's just, yes, we'll completely agree.
One of the things I'm also learned recently, just with hard anecdotal evidence of and real data within my own business, and looking at my clients' businesses and my recent clients' businesses. It used to be that, like say in the software space, that you could get in the top 5 on G2 and do all right. As an agency, you could get in the top 3 on Clutch and do all right. Upwork, if you had the top rated plus badge, you'd be good to go. But one of the things I'm noticing in buying habits right now is reputation and depth of experience matters less. I couldn't tell you why, to be honest. I would love to have a good answer to that question. Like, why the shift? Because it seems irrational, but Rory Sutherland would tell us sometimes the opposite of a good idea is another good idea. So if depth of experience and having hella reviews doesn't factor into the equation as much anymore, what does? What took its place? Price? Vibe? I don't know.
Yeah, that is a pretty good question. I guess for me specifically, I've owned an agency for 6 now. What I sold initially is not what I sell today.
Yeah.
What I've been selling for the last 18 months, we can say that's newer. Do I have hella like reviews on Clutch or G2? No. Do I have case studies? Yes. But getting back to your point of experience and reviews, etc., I mean, 18 years realistically is still considered a new business. Um, I think what helps me, and I only can speak from my experience,
Yeah.
is like the method, the mechanism of what we are doing. Maybe I'm lacking information from what you said to kind of correlate the two, but what I think really helps me in my marketing and my sales processes is our the differentiator, right? Going back to the
Mm-hmm.
mechanism of how we do things. Are there other people that sell similar things? Sure. To the level that we do it, honestly, no. I have yet to find another company that does exactly what we do, as
Mm-hmm.
well as the speed of execution, the quality of work, etc. So, does that kind of come into play with what you're describing right here, Nate?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned speed,
Mhm.
and that is something that when I've had the opportunity to find out why I didn't win a deal or why I didn't get a meeting when it was like in the bag, like ready to go, like why something fell apart. Uh, the two things that I've been seeing come up is price, and I mentioned commoditization. And so in my world, the B2B world, it's cold email, newsletters, LinkedIn outreach, LinkedIn ads. Uh, those are the primaries, right? There's a
Oh, for
few
sure.
other odds and ends that you could bolt onto that, but those are the primary channels that we're working in. And some of them have become commoditized and some of them have not. So when you're actually putting together pricing that you need A and B, sometimes that doesn't come through that well when you've got it almost seems like they don't even belong on the same pitch, even though that prospect needs both and it needs them to work together as a system, not as a duct tape together mishmash, right?
Absolutely.
The other thing
Mhm.
is speed. You mentioned speed as being one of the things. We're really, really fast, but I've lost deals in the cold email infrastructure space, selling cold email infrastructure. It's like, yeah, another vendor said they could get this launched in a week.
But
And I'm
like
like,
the
well, warming, you can't speed up warming of a domain. Sorry. You just can't. Like it's old ass technology and there's very real limitations on it. But someone lying won the deal. And I bet you they'll be able to keep it too. Because even if they fall short a little bit, if they're able to buy time for a few weeks, they'll end up getting that fee, that retainer, that deposit, not me. So I think that there are some, and that's always been the case. That's always been the case that you know someone could overpromise, but that's where I think the review, the background, the reputation, what your reputation is in the space, used to like factor into the equation differently. And now people will hire a stranger with very little public reputation that says they could do something faster or cheaper or both, even though in reality they probably can't. So oftentimes, most of our clients, and this is a real number, we went back through close to 1,000 clients over the years. We were going back through it and like whatever happened to these people? And some of it was because I did a shitty job. I overpromised. Some of it was me not understanding the target market and the prospects. Some of it was just a bad product and a bad vertical. Some of it
sure.
was bad luck. But looking back at everything, most of those companies found us after they'd been burned, not
Mm,
before. And that's where marketing, to your earlier point, where I think that smart marketing gives you a chance to get there first. And it's not
mm,
just speed to lead. It's just like, well, obviously we're going to call blank brand first just to at least develop a baseline. That makes sense, right? If you're getting an oil change, yeah, we'll check Jiffy Lube first. And they've done the hard work to have that instant recognition. If you think about cold email, you think about uh, like the top three, right? Like Apollo used to be Mailshake and Yesware. Now it's Apollo, Smart Lead, Instantly, right?
mhm.
But they spent the time building that name recognition, and then anyone competing is has very few levers to pull to even make a difference. Like, it doesn't even matter anymore.
Right, right. Yeah, instantly
That's why I
discovery.
think it's dangerous advice because most people there's a logical fallacy or a bias about this. I forget what it's called. They overestimate their own ability. They overestimate their own luck. They overestimate their own status. I'm guilty of this all the time. Especially after losing a deal. It's like those blankety blanks, like they have no idea what they're missing out on. And I feel like a jilted lover or something. Or a guy like stood up on a date in college and like had a meltdown afterwards, which I have. But it's the same exact psychology, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, I went about 4 different directions on that question there, but
you're totally good, and it allows me to pick and choose where I want to take things. And where I want to take things is green or newer buyers versus experienced buyers. I think because you and I are pretty educated in the space, hats off to you. You're probably more educated than I. But that does not change the fact that I still think you and I can both agree with what I'm going to say right now. When a newer, greener buyer is on your sales consultation and you kind of explain how things work and kind of explain why you do it that way, and they don't really care. They don't really care about why you do it that way. They kind of just want the bottom line. Yep. So they're going to go to the cheapest person. They're going to go with the guy that says we can get your cold emails up in a week, and it's going to cost, I don't know, a third of the typical market rates. And to a brand new buyer that's brand new in this space, hell yeah, that sounds awesome. Nate, Jordan, your prices are whack. I'm not going to go with you guys.
Whack, yeah.
And then when you go with a guy who's been around, for a few years, he's tried a couple of agencies, and he asks you, so do you guys have any DNS settings set up for your cold email? Or how long do you guys take to warm up your cold email processes? How many words are you guys saying in your cold emails? They just ask much better questions. You can tell this person's been around the block, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like those guys. I do. Because for one, they're just more educated, so it makes my job a little bit easier, or I can just articulate myself a lot better. But secondly, I don't know if I have a secondly, but you can win. You can win those deals better because the guy who's newer, who's greener, right? You tell him what the price is, and he's like, "That's outrageous," because this guy down the street can do it for a fraction of the cost. But you and I both know it's bullshit.
So what? I mean, I've just due to depth of experience, right? I've been doing this a long time. I do believe that there are ways to serve both prospects on a sales call, not necessarily with a single piece of marketing or a single email, but when you're actually on live, you're in that video call. This is your chance to like sell yourself, right? Or sell your service or sling whatever you're slinging. I do think that there is a way that they could both meet. So example would be, I think this is the Chris Voss thing. I probably stole it from him. Is actually informing them about the reasons they shouldn't hire you. So a very recent thing's like, hey, if you're looking for crazy fast at this price, we're not those people. Okay. Ultimately, we want to we want to give you a car that's actually going to like make it on a road trip. Okay. So we're probably not for you. I'm happy to let you know what you should buy to do this yourself if you want. Now, regardless of where the prospect is in that, the boldness is like, hell, I'll tell you what to go buy. I don't care. I'm not going to hide my gatekeep. I hate that word gatekeep, but I'm not going to gatekeep the tech stack. I'll let you know. And people ask me all the time, is like, Nate, like if I'm consulting someone, it's like, Nate, but like, what if they just go build it themselves? And I'm like, well, so what? So what? Like at the end of the day, the amount of business and referrals that I've gotten from people who I helped and made $0 off of, that is one of my best referral sources, or people that's like, hey, here's what you need to buy. Like, if you don't want to hire us for this, that's fine. We're the top, like in the cold email space at Upwork, we're number one. We have been for years, but they don't care, right? We're the top, but we're also not the cheapest. And if you're on a tight budget, I would actually try to DIY it and see how far I could take you. Here's 1, 2, 3 things you need to avoid. Here's how to avoid losing money. So the shift is I'm going from, now if it's a sophisticated buyer, they're going to be like, they're used to that. They're used to that level of candor. So they're not going to be turned off. For an unsophisticated buyer, it's going to take them aback at first. It's going to cause some discomfort in the conversation. And this is something that another one of my mentors, Anthony Honorino, who writes the salesblog.com, he is like the professor of sales. And I have a few of his books, and it's dense, right? He doesn't mess around. But one of the things that he encouraged me to do years ago, and I was really starting to get deeper into the B2B space, is to actually embrace uncomfortable conversations earlier. Okay. And it's hard. It's hard to sit in the silence. I hate that. Like sitting with a sales coach is like, all right, now we're just going to wait. It's like, I have to fill the dead air. I have to. But I do think it's possible to do that. Now, over time, it's, with experience, and as you start talking to different industries, I think the adaptability has less to do with how you're pitching it and more about your vocabulary. Like if we're talking about AI here, I could import different list of jargon words for software, like SaaS, than I would for a commercial services business. They're just different lingo, different metaphors would be used. I like using automotive metaphors because they're almost universal, but I have been burned by it before, where people just don't get, like, they've never actually lifted the hood of their car ever. So saying under the hood means absolutely nothing to them. And some of that may just be generational because I'm old. When I talk about burning out a clutch, most people that I talk to now are too young to have actually learned how to drive a stick shift. Or even know that cars have, other than watching Fast and the Furious. So I do think there is a way to do it that I would say 80% of the time for me kind of checks both boxes, but it does come with a willingness to potentially lose the business. But and it also, you have to have a willingness to sit in awkwardness.
I want to say three things. One is the do-it-yourself vocabulary or do-it-yourself. Secondly is, it'll come back to me. So getting back to sitting in silence. You and I are very similar. I struggle with that when I ask a question and they're thinking about their answer. And it's been a few seconds. I fucking jump in sometimes. I'm like, dude, this is like you're actually doing a great job. Like they're thinking about their fucking answer. Shut up and listen, Yeah. But anyways, you said get to the awkwardness sooner. Can you give me a specific example so I can just understand that more?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll use a very recent sales call they had. Talking to a guy in New York, property tech company, doing really cool shit, actually. Like, I think that my flavor of B2B sales strategy would actually be very compatible with them. But he just wanted to buy newsletter platform. He was trying to move from Klaviyo to Beehive. Okay, I know how to do that. Well, New York, Manhattan, I automatically think, well, this guy needs to have some money. So it's like, yeah, it's like be like $1 to $2 grand flat fee in the beginning. If I still like you and you still like me, when it's all done, we could talk about doing some more work together. I said, it'll take about a week and a half to knock it out. So front loading the conversation as soon as I knew what he actually wanted to buy, not what he needed. Because what he needs is a whole lot. I think he's under investing. I do. And what he's doing right now, which is fine. It led to, he got that sticker shock right away, which I was surprised. A Manhattan guy shouldn't have sticker shock over like that. But I was just trying to give him a little, grand or two. I'll knock this shit out for you. No problem. We'll help you. While we're under the hood, we'll fix a few other things while we're there, like a good mechanic would. He's like, that just doesn't seem reasonable. That was his objection. His actual word for word. And I've rarely ever had that objection phrased that way. Reasonable? Like, what the fuck, man? Reasonable? Like, really? I just gave you the freaking blueprint. You don't even need to hire me. It's not reasonable for me to share any of this stuff with you. I had a bit of an emotional response internally. Thank God our videos weren't on. He was like walking, so our videos were turned off because I am not good at hiding the emotions on my face. I probably look like I was ready to kill somebody. But that embracing that discomfort. I was like, okay, if that's all you want, I'll find, I said, like, I could probably get something done for like $500 that could get you further down the road. So basically, I was telling them a car with 3 wheels, getting further down the road, which it hurts my soul to do that. But my willingness to do weird deals and to do small things has led to some of my biggest clients. I've picked up, 6-figure a year clients off of project. One of them started at $80 a month. Like, so because the relationship was built in stack, long-term. Now I don't do that anymore because economics, but I think that it's still there. But that embracing that uncomfortable pricing conversation earlier. So instead of waiting to the end, I front loaded. The second example would be less about budget and more about trying to suss out where their weakness is. So one way I do this, and I said, hey, it's going to come off kind of cocky, but we have less of a problem with our clients of moving too slow. Our clients have difficulty keeping up with us. So the slowdown ends up being their problem. I said, I don't like talking about this because it's like, oh, we're so badass. No, it's just we're fast. So if we're going to do this in this time frame, like you need to commit a certain amount of time. Like your first couple of weeks, you might be spending 5-10 hours on this thing in addition to paying us. So instead of scaring with the price, I was like, hey, you've got to be involved in the process. It's like you can't like get a trainer at the gym and not like actually exercise. But actually some people do that. They don't really do much of any work at all in the gym. So that's not me. But that's another thing is I highlighted, like, it's gonna kind of suck at the beginning. You're gonna have to spend this money, and in the first month, you're gonna have to buy a bunch of equipment too, like suckage. So that's an uncomfortable conversation as well because everyone, this is human nature, is looking for the easy way. I am always looking for the easy way. It's just human nature. However, and this is another thing that Anthony Honorino taught me, is that we have a responsibility in the consulting space. We have a responsibility to ensure that our clients do not underinvest. So in the case of the guy where it's just a partial thing, I did spec him out a tiny little task that we could do for him that was flat fee, and knocked out in a week, and then it's done. And even though it won't solve his sales problem, it will solve a technical problem. So it's still something complete. But if I try to figure out and like find a way to like help him solve this issue of like taking he's got a massive email subscriber list for B2B, which is like rare. I'm like, dude, why are you not making more money off that? That's the problem. But right now, in order to gain the trust, he needs to make sure I know how to change the oil. So, but I've made the mistake before of allowing clients to underinvest, giving them the impression that it can be done for cheaper. We could change the pricing model. We could DIY some of it. We could get a VA offshore to help with it. All these ways to figure out how to like get $100,000 of value packed into a $10,000 package. And it's just, that is a mistake. And that is doing a disservice to that person. It's better for you not to have the project at all than to go down that road because you both leave unhappy.
I do agree with that last part there. What you're describing about, like, I don't want to call them baby offers, but like micro commitments, a micro offer. Yep. And then, after 12 months of working together, they're actually 6-figure clients. So I learned that through this purple book here. It's called $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. You might know
I've got, that's what's holding up my monitor right now. I've got 2 of them.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, super knowledgeable guy. But essentially, what you're describing, in my opinion, is like ascension offers, right?
Yep.
Sometimes, if you were to market, your top $4,000 per month or $10,000 per month offer to everyone, not a lot of people are going to trust you. know you, believe it's going to work. So what do you have? You have a $80 per month offer as an example.
Yeah.
You show up, you provide value, you do what you're going to say, you provide some level of success or success in general on this $80 offer. Now they trust you more. It's like, okay, they deliver. That's the word. Deliver on the $80 offer. Now you can upsell them to the $500 one, and then to the $1,000 one, and the $3,000 one, right? So it actually is a little beneficial to have multiple offers on the back end of your selling process.
Yes.
That you don't necessarily verbalize to every single potential client. Like, oh, I have 102 offers I can sell you. You don't want to do that. You want to have one go-to market offer. If they don't sell on the core services, you can downsell to a cheaper offer, just get them in the door, and then later upsell them later on.
No, I agree with that. However, looping back to the earlier part of the conversation, we're talking about marketing's role in sales. Okay. Now, when you're talking about these high ticket, like the big ticket items, we're talking, mid 5 figures and up. Okay. And it may not be all in one lump sum payment, but ultimately the trust, how established your personal brand is, it's so important. Now, when you try to make the leap, I know this because I've tried to make the leap more than once in my career of project-based, starting small, and make the leap to, hey, no, this is a $50,000 a year program, and try to make that leap. I didn't commit enough. So I ended up actually diluting the offer, ended up hosing both sides of the business. And I think that instead of crafting an offer, a high ticket offer, and getting it out in front of as many people as possible, I think it makes more sense to do your job, do the thought leadership work. You're doing the thought leadership work, and you're putting in the reps, all the hard, ugly, thankless, sometimes emotional devastation work necessary to build a personal brand. I'm not doing that, right? Do I need to be doing that? Yeah, I fucking do. And I'm not doing it. Why? Because I'm lazy. I feel like I have moments of entitlement. I'm getting too old. The Danny Glover, I'm getting too old for this shit. Okay. So the mistake that I made, though, is that I did have people, I had the feedback from potential clients that they wanted more of me and were willing to spend a lot more money. So I had the signal. So 2 mistakes made. Mistake 1, the first time I tried to make the jump into like more of the, I don't know if you've read $100 million consulting offers. No. Oh man, such a good book.
By Hormozi?
No, it's way before Hormozi. Hormozi has reviewed the book before. It's like something that shaped his thinking. And I got it like years ago, and I ended up working for one of the guys who was one of this guy's acolytes and learned a lot. I did not do good work in that space. And I learned on that project that marketing these is a completely different game. And so I had the feedback. So the first time I tried to make the jump is like, hey, you know what? I'm going to start selling high ticket. Awesome. I went in and started doing it, but I needed to keep the cash flow of the other business going under the same flipping brand. Massive mistake. What I should have done in retrospect was keep the Bandits as its own brand and build the Nate Wright brand separately. Separate website, book, like do the work. Instead, I try to say, I'm just going to use this life raft of the Bandits to do this. That was a massive, massive mistake because to your point, it confused the offer and it got very unclear when there was no clarity. Lack of clarity kills deals. Something we say every day in the company. 100%. So that was mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, when I tried it again, I'm like, you know what? I've learned some bit. I'm actually not fake it till you make it. I've made it. And now it's time to start selling this. I overestimated how big of a deal I was. And even though I had status, I had established myself in the right circles. This is when I was working with Sijit Patel at Mailshake. And I was working with Oren Klaff, rather wrote Pitch Anything in that time. So I was feeling like a baller. Like for the first time in my career, getting invited to go speak to places and being actually going from the little Fisher Price table to the big kids table. Now, I moved too early with that because I didn't do I was relying on my association with business famous people instead of becoming famous myself and doing that and doing the hard work. I needed to write a book, or I needed to do something press, front page of Forbes worthy before I could actually do that. And I jumped the gun. I overestimated it, and oh man, I lost big. Like, I've been in business long enough to have flirted with public failure in a big way. So those are the two. It's the jump that's made. I think everyone. I love. This is what I love from Vaynerchuk and Hormozy. I love the fact they're being broken records about it right now. Is everyone underestimates the volume of work you actually need to do. Man, they just, and I still, like, we're looking at getting back into. That's one of the reasons I said yes to the podcast. I was like, fine, I gotta still start doing some thought leadership shit again. I enjoy it, but I didn't do enough of it. I quit early. I had been on like 20 podcasts and I quit. And it wasn't enough. I needed to be on 100 podcasts. Or be on 20 podcasts and write 100 articles. Back then, it was guest posting was the thing. Like, I just didn't do the work. I quit early. And it was a mistake. Now, looking back on it all, I'm grateful for those lessons because it helps me help my clients better now. But also, I don't know, even to this day, if I want a personal brand. So, and that's leaving money on the table, yes, but I don't necessarily. I just believe everyone's a talking head right now. And I really miss, like, earlier in my career, working with like mentors that, all right, what about a Google Doc? Let's write. Let's fucking write. Let's work on some copy. You hear Hormozy talking about it. If I was going to do it again, I would do it in highly practical ways where it'd be me less talking and more doing, more screen share, more whiteboards, more. Noah Kagan used to do live. He might still do it. He used to do live breakdowns of landing pages. I learned so much watching that. And if I'm going to do this again, I would need to do it and tackle the personal brand high ticket space. That's the only way I'm willing to do it. But what I don't know is if that would work in 2026. And I'm a little bit scared if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, that would be a very expensive mistake.
When you're saying tackling the personal brand in the high ticket space, are you referring to going after companies that rely on the personal brand to sell their high ticket offers, or you, Nate Wright, building your own personal brand in the high ticket space?
Ooh, that is a very good question. I've consulted for both kinds of companies a lot over the years, so I've seen them fail and seen them succeed. For me personally, I would want my personal brand kind of divorced from the day job. The reason being is the Bandits is already B2B. It's in the flipping name. Okay, we really committed to that. I've regretted it a few times over the years, but we picked up some e-commerce clients that we launched wholesale stuff for, so we've been able to kind of flirt with the e-commerce space, which we were really heavily involved in back in the day under a different brand name. But I would want it to be a personal brand, mainly because I don't know where digital marketing and agencies are going to be in the next 5 years. I think the era of the agency is ending. I think I might have a couple years left in it before I'm not talking about ad agencies. They're a different animal. About the traditional digital marketing agency, I think it's the blockbuster of 2026.
When you say digital marketing, what do you mean exactly? Because that can mean a lot of
people that sell digital marketing platforms or services to other businesses.
Okay, I'm gonna manage your content. Is that what you mean? Like, I'll create the post for you. I'll manage your content.
That or train, honestly, anyone or any organization that would be listed on Clutch or Manifest or Brief, like an agency that is wanting to do marketing, sales and marketing projects for other companies. So I think that the agency model, that retainers, or the agency model of like, hey, here's a monthly package. I don't think that model is going to last much longer. I mean, it used to be. I've worked white label style and as a consultant for close to 50 agencies, so I've had a chance to like be behind the scenes and see how they work at all different levels, including mergers and acquisitions, how they're bought and sold. So I've had a chance to be a fly in the wall on a lot of things. And at the end of the day, unless you have like really good intellectual property, good IP, that's the only thing that will actually make the business itself viable. That's it. Is IP. And people can say, oh, the book of business, people, they're just not loyal. And a lot of it's just business culture. I'm not going to myself shift the entire business culture around how businesses interact with agencies and fix the problem. That's not me. I'm not going to be that ambassador. Now, I do think that there's pieces of how agencies work that I think will survive. I think another example, agencies will be devalued if they rely too much on freelancers. However, running a business that relies heavily on freelancers over the years, I've gotten very, very good at it. That skill has saved my ass more times than I can count. And I've been able to save my clients with it too. It's like, hey, you need to let go of some people on payroll. Let's figure out how to do more with less. Let's figure it out. So I think that even though that devalues an agency, that skill set is going to become more important in the next 5 years. So it may not look like an agency anymore, but under like back office running that way, remote management, I think is going to be, I think a skill set would go really well, but I don't think how people buy it is going to be the same. And I've been feeling it. And you look at the amount of agencies that have gone out of business in the past couple of years, like a lot. There used to be 120,000 agencies in the US. That's just digital marketing. That doesn't include ad agencies. Now there's 30,000?
Yeah, that is a big difference.
So
how do you I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone that owns a digital marketing agency.
I own a digital marketing agency. So
no, I don't think you do though. I think if you are setting up cold email infrastructure, crafting the fucking cold emails, and they're converting, that is a high value agency. You're driving revenue to businesses. Probably, arguably, the most important fucking factor in any organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who says, hey, Nate, I would love to create content for you. I will create your LinkedIn post. I'll manage them. I'll post them on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays for you. You and I fucking know that does not drive any fucking revenue to an organization. It's like, not pointless, but like it's not as valuable as actually driving revenue with outbound, with ad agencies, shit like that. That's what
I agree with you. Two major bits of fine print. One, in the lead gen space, the level of loyalty to lead gen agencies, even the badasses like the guys at like Beanstalk, those guys are ballers. Okay, there's still not a lot of loyalty. Like you could be, I mean, you have one. It's like Hollywood. Like I started my business in the art space of music, film.
Really?
Yeah, like that's where I started in the marketing of that, right? So I work with filmmakers and screenwriters, and what do they say in Hollywood? You're only as good as your last film, your last project, and you have one bad month and you're gone.
That is so fucking true. Because from fucking experience,
so that is not. And what happens though is that you spend so much time having to acquire customers. So you've got two choices, right? In a lead agency, you have a choice to just be so good that you don't miss, which is just not practical. right? Like when cold email like farts on everybody, like when Gmail, Microsoft, and Yahoo within 2 weeks of each other all change their policies.
Right.
That
Right.
messes with people's worlds, and you're not going to be able to deliver as good of results because everyone's trying to adjust. So no one's winning then, but you happen to be the one driving the bus when it gets in an accident. So you're going to be held responsible. And that right there, that's the second thing. Is I think that businesses that rely on lead generation from a I'm talking done for you services. I'm not talking about supported or systems building, but actual pay per lead, performance based world. That outsourcing of generating new business should never, ever, ever be outsourced. You need to own the sales operation and you have to own that part of your business. And I think that it is that when it gets separated out, it weakens your business because it's like, okay, hey, it's time for you to exit. I've spent 10 years building, hell, I'll take something non-digital. I spent 10 years growing these 3 pest control businesses in this region. Okay. It's time for me to sell it. So you go to package everything up, bring it to a business broker and say, hey, I want to sell this business. And they start shopping it around. So a good business person will look at it and say, okay, how are you getting new customers? Oh, I have this agency I use.
You're telling me
maybe I should go buy that agency instead.
Exactly.
Right. So that's, I think that it creates, I think it's almost cancerous. It's almost like, not cancerous, like that outsourcing your sales means that you're outsourcing one of the 3 pillars of business. If you got like whatever you're selling, right? Product or service. So that's why I love all the things that have been happening with product led marketing. I love that space. Like people that are in the space that are more products. I think that area is some of the best thinkers in business are like being attracted to that area. And it's really cool to like watch what they can do. Right. There's that piece. And because of how they build their products, it makes them more sellable, helps market them. Like solves like 3 problems, but it takes a very special kind of person, or in this case, team, to do it. So then you've got solo operations guys that are like writing books and consulting. And I've ghostwritten books. I've wrote a little small book that's on Amazon. I've done some of the work, right? I do some consulting, but when we look at it ultimately, if I outsource the lead generation, I am a marketer and a sales expert outsourcing my marketing and sales. And I expect a stranger to be able to sell me better than me. That is, when you say it like that, it's nonsense. Have I done this before? Have I asked for outside help? Hell yeah, I have. It has never worked long term. And so I think that the systems, though, is building systems and supporting them, building the car for them and teaching them how to drive and maintain the car is way more valuable. And I think people that could do that, their willingness to teach, their willingness to actually let people behind the curtain, that backstage pass, even if that someone still says, I would just rather have you do it, that's fine. I think it's the willingness to actually share that knowledge. And that goes to all of Hormozy stuff, all of Vaynerchuk stuff, share. Like don't hold anything back. And I love that model, but I myself have underestimated how much volume of that work I had to do to actually even make it that.
I love what you're saying. I have created 2 offers for 2 different types of customers because just as much you and I are obviously great thinkers. Why the fuck would I outsource the number 1 important thing in my business, which is sales or marketing? Why would I give away the keys to my freaking castle? No, teach me. I want to know how that freaking ship rides, right?
Yep.
But not everybody's like this. They say, no, I'll pay you X amount of dollars per month. Just do it for me. I'll show up to the sales calls. I'll text the leads, whatever the case is. You just generate them for me. So I have 2 offers. One is done for you, for the guys that say, Jordan, do it for me. And a system installation. Like we're selling the infrastructure. We'll teach you. We'll consult you for 30, 60 days after, right? We want to make sure you get results. It's our name on the line. But you're going to learn it yourself.
Yep.
We have both offers for that exact reason. Now, where was I going with that? I wasn't going anywhere with that. I just think that that is where the space kind of This is where I was
Now,
going.
there's always going to be a space for people that just are lazy.
Exactly.
And I get it. I mean, there's companies that, but that's the thing is that there's something Grant Cardone says a lot in his books. I see some of his books behind you too, right?
I like
He
Grant.
says
You
that.
hate on him. I like Grant, man. I do. I like Grant, bro.
Yeah.
I like.
He says if you, and I think he attributed it to his uncle or something. It wasn't his quote. It was that if you can, you must. And now people apply that logic to their business, and that is dangerous. That is dangerous because just because I can sell this thing, just because I can deliver this service or product or whatever, doesn't mean that I should. And I think that the level of naivety surrounding specific, and I'm going to point at startups, is crazy. It's absolutely crazy to me. The level of like, well, one, if we build it, they will come. Like, just there's so many fallacies. We're going to build this thing and people will buy. Now, very real example here. I used Tormosi's books to build an offer to sell a B2B Bandits package targeting construction companies. Okay, we have a big, great list of logos of all the people that we worked with in and around the construction space. I want to do more of these projects. I love that industry. We built the offer, pressure tested on some emails, got enough signs of life that, okay, we're going to run with this version, put it out there, failed miserably. Okay. Same thing a year later, we soft launched a little sub brand last week called Backroom Brands, or the Backroom, targeting not even B2B, targeting brew pubs. The beer industry right now is going through it's called the beer apocalypse. Wow. Because like all the craft breweries are dying. Why? Because there's just too many of them. Just like agencies. Okay, there's too many of them out there. It's not possible to differentiate anything more there. So we're like, let's launch this and let's do it. We did it. We already got like freaking 2 clients lined up. So like we're off of a soft launch. Now, is the business model going to be strong enough to like support the balance I need to feed for it? Fuck if I know. Like I hope so. The model is good on paper, but I've been just over time, I've had to surround myself with people not that are going to agree with me. I have to surround myself with critics. And the guy I partnered with on that is highly critical of the way I do certain things, which is good. That discomfort, it's a James Clear thing, right? The Goldilocks principle. I'm not sure who he stole it from. I don't think it might be his thing. That might be his metaphor. The Goldilocks principle is that you want the right level of difficulty. I think that in business relationships, you need to be around people that could be thoughtfully critical. And sometimes you need people around you that are willing to be an asshole to check you.
You need
my wife is one of my business partners, so it's built in.
Last thing we'll say, and then we have to go. But you need people, just like you said, Nate. You need people who are going to check you, who are going to actually fact check you and like say your shit's actually not as good as you think. Because you don't want those friends that are your big. Sure, you need friends that are hype men. Of course, we love those guys. But are they actually helping you grow? That's the key difference.
And it's hard. Like so much, I would say that I'll leave you with this. I'm totally off the book here, okay? Just like parting words of wisdom. You'd ask me like, hey, like the classic, like what could you have told your previous self 5 to 10 years ago, right? I would have gotten into therapy sooner. Hands down, above anything else I've ever done, what helped my business the most was fixing my shit. I was a codependent fucking asshole or insecure asshole for the most part for a long time. And I got into therapy and started like I need to fix me. In the process of doing that, I started understanding other people more, and like at a much higher level. And the number one, the best money I've ever spent was on therapy. Now I had to go through a lot of shitty therapists first, and my therapist would give me homework. He was hard on me, and I think that is at the highest leverage you have, because the majority of mistakes made in businesses have nothing to do with the market.
their personal problems and the way you personally think, right? Awesome.
Yeah.
Nate, you're the fucking man. I had tons of fun. This might be my favorite episode. Lot of similarities you and I have.
Yeah. Maybe a little too similar. We haven't had our first like romantic breakup yet, so we'll have to schedule that. My therapist said we would need to schedule that argument.
For sure. Audience, you guys rock. As a pleasure. We love you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Cheers.